We got news over here from this one was sent to me by Marimo on X.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops to Chicago for now, as tensions on the streets continue to rise. Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker is out defending protesters.
Real.
And there are people running around, and that's mayhem on the ground, and that's going to be the excuse to send troops in, or that's going to be the excuse to do more than they're already doing. All I can say is that I'm proud of the people who are peacefully protesting out there and doing the right thing if they want to.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott insists the troop deployment is necessary to restore law and order.
Now, because we have a president who's finally enforcing the laws of the United States, it's only natural, by extension, that if there's a need for that elite National Guard to provide assistance anywhere in the entire country, that it would be the National Guard called upon.
You know what's crazy? You guys ever think about how these people, when it comes to like their enemies like Trump, they want Trump investigated for literally nothing. Like they want literally any crumbs that they can find to bust Trump. But when it comes to like other criminals, they're like, they need like literally a mountain of evidence. They need the Mount Everest of fucking evidence in order to go after people that are like literally beating people up in the streets. It's actually insane.
Meanwhile, ICE is facing a slew of assaults and threats. One agent's spouse got this message, which reads in part, retribution will come your way eventually. And in Houston, a Halloween display appears to show figures of ICE agents hung in a mock execution.
With a freaking Mexican flag. Man.
Dr. Sapphire, we're talking about not just ICE agents who we know have been under threat, who have faced organized assaults on their facilities and sniper fire in Texas, to riots from Portland to the Chicago area. But when these threats become so personal, what does that mean to the hearts and the minds of these public servants that also have to get out there and do their jobs every day?
Yeah, I think it's being reported right now that the attacks on them are up like 1,000% over the last couple of years. And these are people who are going out, these are not the highest paying jobs you can get. These are government servants, and all they are doing is trying to protect our country and keep our community safe. Being an ICE official, that's not anti-immigrant. That is pro-community and pro-American. And, one of the things that I find honestly the most disturbing, first of all,
I find it disturbing that like being a good cop used to be like a really honorable job. Like it used to be something that kids aspired to be. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like a police when I grow up because obviously there's bad cops and they're gonna be, well, what about the bad cops? Yeah, obviously people fucking abuse their jobs in every fucking position. It doesn't matter. Police, anything, politicians, there's always anyone with a position that holds any sort of power. Obviously there's going to be bad actors in this. So I'm not even talking about that, right? But before you had kids that were like, oh, I want to be a police. That was like a big thing for like, young boys to say that they wanted to do, right? How telling is it that they're like, yeah, I want to be a TikToker. It used to be like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a cop. And now it's like, I want to be a firefighter. Now it's, I want to be a TikToker. It's so fucking cooked, man.
People are continuing to demonize ICE. And I've seen people calling them like Nazis and comparing them to
politicians abuse their power way more than cops. Yeah. There's, obviously, again, like obviously there's cops that do it, but like you have to understand, man, that police, there's not very many jobs where you are really putting your life on the line. There's not that many of them. So you have these people in their cushy jobs, right? And sometimes it's not even like super cushy. Like, so you have people working, even like, let's just say like a cash register at a store. You're generally pretty fine if you're like working at a supermarket. Like maybe it's a little bit sus if you're working at like a liquor store or something like that. But if you're working, you have these people working in office buildings. You have these college students, all of these people that get to live comfortably. They get to clock in, get their bag, and clock out. You've got those people complaining about cops doing their job, and sometimes cops have to get a little rough on people, right? And I'm gonna be real, cops being rough on people makes sense to me. Maybe a hot take. I don't think like Asmund would agree with me on this, for example, right? But cops have families too, and they gotta get home to their families. So like if you fuck around with a cop and like you're in any way threatening them or doing something that's gonna look like you're gonna threaten them, sometimes you just get fucked, to be honest. And it's like you shouldn't have been fucking around. That's how I feel about it. Because like, you understand, people are shooting at cops all the time, right? I've seen, and guys, like I've seen plenty of badge cam videos because that's what I do, right? I watch a lot of them in my own time. Do you know how many times I've seen a video of like a person roll down their window and just shoot the cop? It's not like a one-time thing. There's a lot of videos of it where like they'll come up to the window and they'll just shoot the cop. So that's why when the cops go up to the window of like a car, they're like, okay, put your fucking hands up and don't move them. Because like they don't know if you're gonna pull your hand down. If you put your hands down out of sight, they don't know what they're grabbing. They could be grabbing a gun. So it's like when you have a cop, listen, if you just listen to the cops, you're not gonna get your ass kicked and you're not gonna get shot. That's just the truth. And let's say that you do get a crooked cop that's gonna like beat your ass anyway, just sue their ass after. There's body cams. Just sue their ass after. Right? But like there's, as long as you follow the instructions, you're basically fine in almost all cases. And the thing is people, and it's really bad because what happens is they teach people, oh, the cops are out to kill you. Oh, the cops are out to kick your ass or out to fuck you up. And so you have cases in which it builds a fear and then people act irrationally off of that fear. You understand how Muck Departments covers for bad cops? No, I mean that's true. That is true. And the thing is I agree with that, Overseer. We should have oversight. There should be any sort of that corruption should be like, we should have a way to uproot that, I think. Like, and I would be for that. I would be for like more accountability. That if you have a crooked cop or there's a department that's crooked, I would be a fan of increasing those penalties against those people. 100%. I would be 100% for that. But let's be real. That's not like all the cases. Yeah.
Stop us if not.
Anyway, so my point is like, them doing this actually makes it more dangerous for these people to do their jobs.
Nazism. I mean, we can have conversations about immigration policy without rewriting history entirely. The fact that Nazism was, they hunted and they murdered innocents in the absence of law. What ICE does here in the United States is enforce the law using constitutional due process, using the court system. I mean, everything.
They would just fucking line your ass up and shoot you in the back. They have people like stand up on a hill and they just shoot all of them.
That is happening right now is legal, and to continue to demonize them, I mean, it is just dishonoring the true victims of evil in the past. And all of a sudden, these ICE officials who have taken these jobs to uphold the law, protect our communities, they in themselves are now putting themselves at risk, and they're not going to want to do it anymore. And this is going to lead to a more uprising of criminal activity, unsafe communities.
Yeah, who would want to? Who would want to work as a cop in these I mean, frankly, shithole areas where they don't even want the cops around, and they handicap, they tie the cops' hands behind their back, basically, make it impossible to do their job. Who wants to actually do their job in those cases? And who does it affect? It affects the citizens of those areas because now they have fucked up crime everywhere, and now they can't even do their basic functions.
And rightfully so. I mean, I would not blame them for leaving their jobs because if we can't protect them, then yes, they should leave their job. We have to be able to protect them. And if the governors, the mayors are not allowing National Guard or their own police force to protect ICE officials, we're going to lose them all.
I want to talk about just kind of the different realities that it seems to be that our public officials are living in. J.B. Pritzker, they're talking about the protesters, and we in America have a very proud tradition of supporting our protesters and peaceful protest across the nation. But in these cases, we have seen things that look a lot more like riots happening outside of ICE facilities. Does ICE not have the right, and the federal government have the right, to protect the people that are out there doing their jobs?
Right. Well, everyone should be protected, protesters included. And it's really unfortunate that law enforcement has to spend so much of their time dealing with this when they could be protecting and serving communities. Same thing with our federal agents who are having to take so much of their time. I'd also add these ICE agents will continue to do this job because it's a calling and they've got support from the president and the White House. They will continue to do it. The only calculation they make, because they know this is a difficult and dangerous job, is their families. That's what they're most concerned about, is that their families will be safe while they do this job that they signed up for and take the risk, and they're proud to do it. But I would also say this. When Democrats like Pritzker and others, when they say that National Guard or federal agents, when they call them an authoritarian or an invading force, okay, or they say that enforcing the law is somehow the authoritarian Trump regime, let's flash back 5 years ago when many of these governors were more than happy to have, whether it was law enforcement officers or other law enforcement bodies, police.
Yeah, and like, for example, on like January 6th, they went fucking crazy. They went crazy on people. It's like I said, my friend, he's not even right wing. I have a left wing friend. He just happened to be in a flight in the DC area and he got put on a list.
People for going to the park with their children during COVID, surfing in the waters of Malibu during COVID.
He has like he had that enhanced like security whatever thing where like you go to the airport and they fucking shake you down. And he had to deal with that because he was just in the area for work.
They were totally fine with having them as their personal mask police, enforcing gatherings of 8 people or less. That was
too.
Totally fine.
That too.
Without protecting federal agents.
Did fucking snitch lines and everything.
Carrying out law and order and protecting federal facilities. Now all of a sudden that's authoritarian. Please. This was 5 years ago. Never forget what they did to us during COVID.
Emily, I want to get your take on this. We, of course, have this judge, April Perry. She's a Biden appointee. She's fairly new to the bench, actually. She's only been a federal judge for less than a year. So this is a rather notable decision that she's made out there for that area. Your thoughts on she's essentially questioned the Trump administration's credibility on the issue and pushed back and has been seeking answers about just what precisely the National Guard would be doing on the ground there in the area, how far they would go to go beyond protecting federal facilities. Your thoughts on her ruling?
Yeah, I think that authority is different from power. And I think the authority is squarely vested in the executive branch to indeed augment when local and state law enforcement or decision makers have abdicated their duty. I think it's clear here that why Democrats and liberals and activist judges are so fearful and in their own mental mayhem is because they see that the power has been restored into an executive branch that is executing the mandate of the people. They are terrified that all of a sudden their power to police masks and what your children learn in school and putting men in women's sports, that all of that has been taken away and restored rightfully back into the hands of the people. And I think about when J.B. Pritzker and governors like him, like Gavin Newsom, who fixate on the president as a human instead of in any way acknowledging the constituents, the Americans that he's aiming to serve and protect. If we can pop up for a second that imagery, again, the horrific image, I can't get it out of my head, of the effigies hanging in the noose with the coffins next to them in a playground of a undoubtedly taxpayer-paid neighborhood. Are you joking? That is the symbolism and the imagery that people are used to in cartel-ridden South and Central American countries that have an abject corruption that has infused the law enforcement and the administrations there. The fact that...
Hey, yo. How many conservatives we got? Can I get a 1 in chat if you're a conservative? Can you fucking tone down the temperature? All of you. Tone it down. Tone down the temperature.
This is an American neighborhood is absolutely and patently unacceptable. Where are those leaders in that area to say no?
If only you toned down the temperature, then none of this would happen.
Our watch, because at the end of the day, the risk, God help us, if any of our federal agents or in law enforcement get any more hurt than they already have been, that blood is on their hands.
David, your thoughts?
My thoughts are what keep Tom Homan up at night. And I asked him that question once. We all know him.
Thank you,
He's a
Catatonics.
tough
Thank you
guy.
so much.
He comes
Thank you.
across as a very tough guy, and he is. But what keeps him up at night is not his own safety or his family's safety. It's the 400, how many? I have to look at notes. 470,000 unaccompanied children.
Tone it down, guys. You're not like us and our gallows. Okay, guys? Tone down the temperature.
Who came in during the
Should be more like us. Be kind. Hashtag be kind. Okay, you guys? Hashtag be kind.
Biden administration. Now, 300,000 of them were lost. They disappeared because of the HHS under Biden was operated terribly. We have just recently found 65,000 reports of unaccompanied kids that had case studies behind them. That is, they were trying to look for these kids that disappeared. Tom Homan is now trying to at least go back with that backlog of the 65,000 to try to find these children. That's what.
I got a question for you guys. So, like, you know how, like, if the person's last name is Smith, it means that their family used to be, like, blacksmiths, right? Or, like, carpenter. Like, they used to be carpenters. Right? What does a hoe man do? Food for thought.
ICE agents are doing, in addition to kicking out, you never hear about this, but the guy who's in charge of this entire operation is more concerned about all those kids, how many of them have been trafficked,
Big
where
pimpin'.
they have been trafficked, either sexually or for work. Remember that farm, that marijuana farm in California that was busted?
Did you say Dickinson?
They got about 340 illegals, and there was a group of 500 protesters, to use
It's a
Pritzker's absurd word, that were throwing
Five
stones
stars,
at them,
five
et cetera.
stars.
Well, there were also about a dozen kids that were found there, unaccompanied children working on a marijuana, as slave workers working on a marijuana farm. Those are the children that
You know, I was thinking about it, like, where are the gallows with, like, Obama? You know, the severed Obama heads and stuff like that. I feel like you would see that all over the news if that were the case. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, if it's really an issue of, like, well, it's kind of an equivalency. Like, where is it? I'm just saying.
that keep Tom Homan up at night. So think about that when you're calling these people fascists, when you're calling these people evil. These people are fathers of children and grandfathers, et cetera, and they care a lot about the kids that were being trafficked into this country and are still here unaccompanied by their
Was it
parents.
Obama
And we're
library?
noting the
I don't
and
know.
hundreds of sex offenders that they've been bringing into custody over the course in recent months.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host.
Yeah, I mean, where are those things? I haven't seen them. And I feel like if they did happen, you would see them all. I mean, being that, like, a person puts up a rope somewhere and all of a sudden it's like somebody sees a rope and they're like, "Oh my God, like lynching." I feel like we would never hear the end of it if there were things like that. But I don't really see it. So, yeah.